come celebrate with us. A live broadcast and everything. June 20th, 21st, 22nd in Vegas at Circa. All the details at Covino and Rich, but book your flights, book your stay, and come join us live. We have prizes, lots of fun, lots of people showing up. So we'll see you in Vegas. Tell you more about it later. Lots to get to, though. Like we said, prizes. We got Last One Standing, Friday edition. It's one of our favorite games. It's heated. We'll give you a chance to play and always participate at 877-99 on Fox. Hope you had a OKC sort of night.
They're just slaying it, huh?
Yeah, dominant. Very dominant.
Thunder!
Makes it kind of boring.
It really is. The ratings are trash.
Right.
Because,
Proof in the ratings.
I mean, the reality is OKC is just steamrolling everyone. But that brings up a thought that I want to get to in a second about SGA. We're going to talk about balding.
Baldo Ronaldo's.
And what would you do if you are a balding guy? And what if I told you you might be able to reverse it easily? And it's not some stupid commercial. There is a crazy breaking story about balding men.
Is this like a real story or something you saw on TikTok?
Oh, dude, this is real.
Okay.
It's a real thing.
Okay.
Plus a dumb hypothetical about being mad about something, but yet you don't support it. I'll give you an example. Remember when Twinkies, they were like, we're discontinuing Twinkies.
And the world was like,
No,
no!
how could you?
Outraged. No, not
Why?
Twinkies. Life is over.
How could you?
Meanwhile, you hadn't bought a Twinkie in years. I get it. I get what
It's
you're
like
saying.
20 years passes and you haven't bought a Twinkie, but you're mad if they discontinue it. So
Okay.
I have a funny story in the news about that.
But we'll get you ready for the weekend. That's what we do.
no
Happy
doubt.
to be here. Holiday weekend. So that being said, we salute all who served and died for this country as we head into
doubt.
Memorial Day weekend. Happy to be here. And like I said, we'll get you ready for that. And we'll get you ready with something called Weekend Hobnobbing. Aside from all the great sports, what you need to watch in the world of sports and entertainment.
No
Weekend
doubt.
Hobnobbing, we do it every Friday.
Yeah, and a big story that I want to get to today. I'm just listening to these things so I make sure I get to them. Alex Cora put in a scenario that people love to debate in sports, and that's personal life versus work. And where's the line? What's more important? I think it's obvious, but there's a story where it's like, was it obvious? We'll get to all that coming up. But, I mean, again, ratings probably stunk. OKC and Minnesota. Are the Wolves even going to show up or what?
What do you think the executives are saying? Ratings. Yeah, the Timberwolves have to show up. Make it a series.
When are we going to put a little respect on the name of the OKC Thunder? When is SGA? When is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going to get the love he deserves, right? Because I thought about it, and I think it starts
it's almost
when,
like he should be named MVP of the league or something.
Yeah, right? He should be MVP.
That's,
oh,
Danny,
wait.
I think you're right.
I think when you could say his name with full confidence and not think that you're saying it wrong.
Gilgeous.
Why do you think everybody calls him
SGA?
SGA? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, Shai.
It's like when you couldn't say Giannis, really. and
No, you
just-
couldn't say Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, well, you,
Oh,
you
Rich
just went
still
with
can't
Giannis.
say that, obviously.
So you call him SGA. I think it starts there, but I think it's just a matter of familiarity, Rich. I think after the series, after this run, but especially if they win it all.
If they win it all,
Then-
and he's MVP.
Yeah.
Like, I thought about it. You go back to the draft in 2018. If you go back in time, if you go back in time, 2018, and you realize, let me look at that draft real quick. That was the Luka draft,
pre-COVID.
if I remember correctly.
Before the world changed.
If you go back to the year.
Before I lost my eyesight. You know, it's not that I'm getting older. I suffer from what I call COVID eye.
You don't have COVID
I'm telling you, my eyes were never the same, dude.
No, it's definitely not that you're in your 40s now.
No. And my hair thinned out a little bit. Not because I'm getting older. COVID hair, bro. So you're going pre-COVID 2018.
Yeah, this is
okay.
the olden days.
Take me back.
The Suns chose DeAndre Ayton. Marvin Bagley went 2. That was the year Luka went 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jaren Jackson Jr., Trae Young, couple stars in this draft. But you go all the way down to, crap here, 1, 2, 3, 11? I mean, he was a first rounder. But again, a guy that has averaged over 30 points a game the last couple seasons, yet he's never in the conversation.
Yeah, but
Of like, I know he's MVP, so you could say, Rich, you're full of it. What are you talking about? Yes, quality-wise, but I don't think, do you know many kids that have an OKC Alexander jersey? Do you see that around town?
Well, part of that is the market they're in.
I was going to
That
say, it's
really
any
just it.
small market, anything, smaller market, anything. And, of course, they become a bigger household name with a bigger reputation the more they win. I think it's simply that. Small market teams, small market reputation.
I mean, it's a weak guess example, but Ohtani was always a star. Are you saying how Ohtani went from like, yo, the guy dominating, but he's on the Angels to the Dodgers? Like if you tell me SGA was part of some mega trade and ended up on the Knicks, Lakers, Golden State, the Heat, something like that, then all of a sudden that would change completely?
Yeah, I
You
mean,
think?
tie it into your own world. We always talk markets here in radio. And by the way, happy to be on a million of them. Shout out to all the affiliates this morning. Appreciate you. Always great to be here for Dan Patrick.
I think Dan Patrick really is on close to 1 million affiliates.
But you could be the greatest radio show ever, like Weenie in the Butt in the mornings.
But if you're only on in Dayton, Ohio,
Exactly. That's
I
no
get it,
knock
okay.
to Dayton, Ohio. It's just you could be the greatest there, but not everybody's going to know and respect you the way they should because it's Dayton, Ohio. It's as simple as that. It's a market thing. I agree with Danny G. That doesn't mean it can't change, but winning, as we always say, winning changes everything. Bill Belichick, right? Everyone's like, man, Bill's bringing a whole lot of noise to UNC. You know how you fix that? Winning. Winning fixes everything. So
every
if there's
time you say winning, I think of Charlie Sheen.
Winning.
And I think it's old enough that it's retro again.
Winning. You still had that on standby? Sam pulled that out of his back pocket. Winning.
Huge Charlie Sheen fan.
It's like you were waiting for us to bring that back.
I do love the Three Musketeers.
Honestly, if something's not right, we're not saying that anything's wrong, but it is wrong to not respect them the way we should because they seem insanely dominant
I know.
right now.
I know. Listen,
Winning fixes that.
Cove, I know. And Danny G, you may roll your eyes because you're like, dude, he's the MVP, and he's looks like he's gonna roll to the NBA Finals, but
But it's
I feel
not
like
household names.
Yeah, I feel like your mom doesn't know his name unless
the mom
you know,
test.
The mom test.
But
It's-
you're right.
it's-
You brought up young people. Young people probably very aware at this point.
But it's the Aunt Sharon at Easter, Christmas, or a holiday event. Like,
hey, dude, leave my Aunt Sharon out of this. They might be listening.
And Rich, you may need to slow down that comment just a little bit until I see OKC get a big lead and keep it in Minnesota.
Okay.
Then I'll agree with that because think back, ask a Laker if it's easy to win in Minnesota.
listen, Minnesota, I think the T-Wolves, Anthony Edwards, that whole squad is fun to watch. I enjoy them. Like I said, this matchup isn't necessarily what the executives wanted. Ratings, gold, baby, gold. Of course, they would have wished upon a star for somehow Golden State or the Lakers or Steph or
they're
LeBron.
getting their ratings in the Eastern Conference.
Of course.
Big time. But a big time difference,
Big
too, of star power and excitement and competition.
And market size.
And market size. Yeah, it comes back to that. New York, the Knicks, the Garden.
I'm not trying to be the ratings guy, like boring, because
I mean, it's part of it.
I don't want to be that guy. I really don't. But we said it a little while back. If it's the Pacers, OKC, you could argue that it could be the lowest ratings of the 21st century.
Well, here's the thing, Rich. Is it, as far as ratings, baby, ratings, executives clearly would appreciate the Knicks stepping up and taking it further because it's great for basketball and it's high profile and big market. But who would be the greater ratings rival in the finals? I would have assumed the Timberwolves.
You know, I don't stand corrected, but I just found the top-selling jerseys in the NBA. And would you assume that SGA is in the top 10? Because who
Little
buys
kids,
jerseys?
Young
Kids
kids are front runners and
you
they're
know.
like superstars. And
That is true.
everybody's a fan of greatness. Hey, your boy here, Steve Covino from Union, New Jersey. I had a Michael Jordan jersey.
Front runner.
I also had like a Jalen Rose jersey because I thought the Nuggets jersey was kind of cool back then. I had a bunch of random jerseys, but of course I had a Jordan jersey because greatness is fun to root for. I'm not surprised. We're talking the MVP, young kids who are in the market of buying a new jersey. absolutely would probably go to that first.
Oh, you're a Yankees fan. I'm surprised you're not a Cowboys and Lakers fan, too.
Yeah, I mean, but hold on. We lived in an era where things started to change. You became a fan of greatness.
Yeah, bro.
I didn't root for the Raiders. I didn't root for the Royals, but I was a fan of Bo Jackson. Who wasn't? What 90s kid didn't like Michael Jordan or Bo Jackson or Ken Griffey Jr., right? So he would be in that category for a young person today. They're hanging up posters in their room or whatever they do. What do they do? Little light up
What
lights?
do kids do nowadays?
No, but it's not the same. Even though my daughter has posters.
Kids
up.
still have fat heads, or is that the
It's
2000s?
got some like cool lights, some sort of galaxy on their ceiling.
Yeah,
with
my kid has
LEDs.
my kid has some little ball that you light it up, and it looks like the Milky Way's on their ceiling.
So they probably have some SGA hologram up there, floating around their room, some sort of fat head, because he is the MVP.
So
It's just it doesn't pass the Aunt Sharon test, but it passes the. Give me a good little kid name.
Well,
Jackson test.
with an X, Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson.
That's on the Little League team.
It passes the Kyler test.
Yeah. Yo, Jackson.
So,
Yeah.
so
You like SGA? Of course I do. I got
Rich,
an SGA wall hologram.
with that in mind, with
Yeah.
SGA, and after this MVP season, maybe his stardom will pick up. On the other side of things, Tyrese Halliburton, is he a superstar?
Well, I mean, what defines a superstar? Is that the question,
No, we're
Danny?
going to get to that, too.
That's a great transition. Let me ask you before we do that, though.
Well, you know what? Superstar moments.
What do you think the top 10 selling jerseys are? Now, this is based on the second half of the NBA season.
Luka's in there.
Luka's number one.
I remember.
Because this is the second half, so think people buying that Luka Lakers jersey.
I remember that being
Jason
the story.
Tatum has to be in there.
He's number 4.
Okay.
I imagine LeBron's still in there.
Number 3.
Curry's still in there.
Number 2, UGC. You guys just nailed the
let's-
top 4. Look at
Awesome.
you.
Okay, New York, so Brunson.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Yeah.
Nice.
Man, you guys are like Steve Harvey would. His mustache would be, shimmering right now with your Family Feud style excellence. Speaking of which, Dan Patrick, Celebrity Family Feud. How cool is that? We got to get on that. All right, you guys name the top 5.
It's called Celebrity Family Feud.
I'm
Not
thinking.
Goonberger Family
I'm,
Feud.
I'm thinking young stars. Ja Morant.
John Morant's number 8. So here you go. You're rolling. Keep on the young star thing.
Young stars. Didn't play the second half of the season, but Wemby.
Number 6.
Yeah.
Nice, Danny
God,
G.
Danny
yeah.
G might clean sweep this. Then there's one more at number 7, and I'll give you this. SGA is number 9. And it's someone he's playing right now.
Edwards.
Edwards is number 7.
Baby Jordan.
Ant-Man.
All right.
And then
yeah.
Jokic rounds out the top 10. And then Giannis, LaMelo Ball, KD, Devin Booker, and Jaylen Brown. But he's a top 10 selling jersey. So, Covino, your theory of kids know. It might not pass the Aunt Janet at Christmas test. Like, man, the OKC with, who's that guy again? Aunt Sharon, Aunt Janet. That's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Oh, yeah. Just saying. For a guy that's putting up these numbers, I think he should be more of a household name. And when people talk about the young stars in the league, who else is in their 20s doing what he's doing? A lot of the other guys we speak of on that list are 30-ish or older, the veterans, right?
Well, there is a feeling. I saw Charles Barkley being interviewed by one of our pals, Adam Glynn, who does celebrity interviews, like TMZ-style interviews. And he's like, how do you feel about the Thunder's chances? And what do you think about SGA sort of coming out of nowhere? That's the feeling. Like he sort of came out of nowhere, but that's not the truth.
Yeah.
But it feels that way, right? Not the truth. Doing it. Plus, it takes a minute to acclimate to the NBA. So let's keep that in mind. Still a young guy.
But he's been averaging 30-plus, which seems like forever.
But it seems like, exactly. So it's not out of nowhere. It just feels that way. And now they're on a bigger stage, and all those things changed their reputation. That's when the kids tell the older folks, like, see, we told you. Because now when it's on a big stage like this, it doesn't matter what market they're playing for. And that's how you create that reputation, and that's what makes you a superstar. And we can actually transition into that. But before we move past the Timberwolves, and I'm sure we're going to bring them up again, Timberwolves just looking weak compared to the Thunder. They're not Wolves, Rich, but there's a viral story today. Did you see this?
I'll tell you what, I did see this, though. On my way to work this morning, we live out here in Los Angeles. I'm never up at this early, that 4 or 5 a.m. hour here on the West Coast,
Yeah.
getting ready to come here.
Yeah. It's not our normal schedule. Normally we're on 2 to 4 on the West, 5 to 7 p.m. on the East.
What were those wolves in Game of Thrones? Dire wolf.
wolves.
I swear I saw a dire wolf on my street.
I think you're lying.
I mean, you might argue, Rich, it was probably a little coyote, but in my mind this morning, as I pulled out of my driveway, I'm like, ah, there's a dire wolf.
I want you to look this up.
It was his neighbor walking a wiener dog.
I immediately texted my wife. I'm like, don't let our dog outside. Like,
Rich saw a shadow of a wiener dog. I thought it was a wolf.
In my mind, in my 4:30 in the morning mind this morning, I was like, I think Jon Snow is walking a dire wolf on my street.
Dude, they are everywhere in Los Angeles. I'm sure you guys have seen the stories. You saw that story with Tommy Lee's dog, right? Some coyote hopped over like a 10-foot fence.
Grabbed his dog and then he
grabbed his
grabbed it
dog.
back.
And
They're
yeah.
hungry, man.
Yo, these things are wild, right? So, literally, there's a story today, or I saw it today.
I think it was a Timberwolf.
Not a wolf,
Whatever
not a
that is.
timber wolf, but 5 coyotes. 5 coyotes, I think, equal 1 wolf. But 5 coyotes.
Are you going to ask me 1 man or 5 coyotes?
No. 5 coyotes
Versus
are
a good
creeping.
5 coyotes or a silverback gorilla.
And I think the story is a random stray black Labrador fights off and fends off 5 coyotes. Now, I don't know, like, of course, maybe you're thinking, of course a lab could fight off 5 coyotes. To me, I was like, yo, that's impressive. This 5 pack of coyotes attack, and 1 black lab fights them off. That's viral today. I thought it was protecting the house and the kids, but I think it was a stray, and it was all caught on film, and it went viral this morning on my way in. I saw it.
Yeah, it says wildlife cam shows stray dog fighting off
Stray,
coyotes.
right?
I heard the
Yeah.
stray got the best of him when he drew a tunnel on a brick wall. Really
Stupid.
tricked the coyotes.
Nice. Yes. So look out for that. It's a local L.A. story, though, from
Happened
my
in
understanding, right?
Brea, California.
Yeah, so I saw it on the news today. But, again, not wolves, but coyotes. Props to that black lab. Pretty sweet. So, speaking of SGA and the feeling, there's no truth behind it. It's the feeling of him not getting the respect he deserves. And, again, would we say winning and winning on a big stage always changes that? What do you have?
Winning.
38 points last night?
Yeah.
Dominant.
Winning.
There was a question posed,
Tiger
and that
blood.
is, well, what makes you a superstar? Because Stephen A. Smith says something in regards to Halliburton, who had a
Who?
huge moment. Tyrese Halliburton. You know his dad, right?
No,
His
the
dad.
other guy you mentioned. Who?
Oh, Stephen A. The other
wait,
Stephen A.
Do you mean our next
Never
president?
heard of him.
The fact of the matter is this.
Do you mean President Smith, Danny?
Right.
Just because you come up in clutch moments doesn't make you a superstar. Now, this Stephen A. Covino, Stephen Anthony Covino II, says, well, if coming up in clutch moments doesn't make you a superstar, then what does?
That's like someone saying,
Think
just because she has a perfect ass and great boobs doesn't make her hot. You're like,
Well, I think it's part of
I
what
mean-
makes you a superstar, but I think there is something else that
a big layer.
might actually make you a superstar. So we posed this question when we talk SGA and Halliburton, all these young stars that are playing big in these big moments. What are the moments or maybe the intangibles that actually make you a superstar? Like, what's the key ingredient, Rich?
I like that. Key ingredients, the characteristics.
What's the main ingredient? Don't you love them? What's the main ingredient?
Great oldies.
What's the key ingredient that makes you a superstar then? If it's not coming through in the clutch.
Then what is it? Your thoughts. What makes up a superstar in the world of sports? We'll get to that. Plus, a breakthrough in the world of hair loss and a dumb hypothetical that has to do with the sports world. We'll get to that. Family versus work. There's an Alex Cora story we're going to get to. We're going to give away prizes, a bunch coming up this morning. We're going to have a lot of fun. Covino and Rich in for DP live from the Fox Sports Radio studio.
And most cars on the road could use a little TLC. At Mako, we bring your car back to life with affordable paint jobs and light collision repairs. Get a free estimate today. Better get Mako. It's Covino and Rich on Fox Sports Radio. Are you ready?
Yes! We talk about pop culture, we talk about sports, we talk about life.
It's a friendship on the radio. When you talk about the best athlete in the world, you're probably thinking Jim Thorpe, right?
I'm thinking
joking.
Bo Jackson.
I'd have to throw myself at the age of 12 into the conversation.
You are the home run champion. When you find the commonality between sports and life, those analogies and conversations are the best. You were dating some girl, and you were like, "Hey, babe, let's watch The Sixth Sense." Her mom walked in. "Can you believe he was dead the whole time?"
I wanted to get up.
Well, slow down, Dana White.
I don't want to say It's never boring.
If the Chiefs win,
Sorry, Patrick Mahomes here. What do you mean by if the Chiefs win?
Our friendship is real. It's authentic. You can't fake the funk.
we're the type of guys you'd want to hang out with at a sports bar. Best way to pick someone up at a bar?
Yeah.
Go up to a cute girl and say, "Oh, look at that bozo over there," and I like point to you. We could make fun of each other, poke each other a little bit.
I call him Blubber Lips, Rich Davis, because he never stops talking.
He thinks he's the Mexican Fonz.
Yeah.
At any point, he's wearing a chain. You have a chain on?
Always.
Of course he has a chain on.
That's like asking me if I'm wearing cologne right now. Of course I am. We take a lot of pride in being inclusive and interactive on our show. Just the more the merrier.
Josh, Covino thinks that every man should own a leather jacket.
I only wear vegan leather.
Can you believe this guy?
I can't believe this guy. We have a very special connection with our audience, our listeners. People feel that friendship.
And I appreciate y'all's show. I love it.
It's all for you. Thank you.
Mike Tyson, Covino, loves to just challenge us with random Mike Tyson trivia.
Which accomplished celebrity purchased my sprawling Connecticut estate?
I'm going to go 50 Cent.
You are absolutely correct. 50 Cent. I love his song.
You can't schedule a big event during
can't.
a big sports moment.
My family member scheduled their wedding the same night as a Julio Cesar Chavez fight. Everyone was glued to that fight instead of doing the electric slide.
This is weak.
Unbelievable. You're very tricky.
America, you got sports, you got fun, you got us.
Covino and Rich.
We're crushing it.
It's Covino and Rich on Fox Sports Radio. Are you ready?
Yes! We talk about pop culture, we talk about sports, we talk about life.
It's a friendship on the radio. When you talk about the best athlete in the world, you're probably thinking Jim Thorpe, right?
I'm thinking Bo
joking.
Jackson.
I'd have to throw myself at the age of 12 into the conversation.
You are the home run champion. When you find the commonality between sports and life, those analogies and conversations are the best. You were dating some girl, and you were like, "Hey, babe, let's watch The Sixth Sense." Her mom walked in. "Can you believe he was dead the whole time?"
I wanted to get up.
Well, slow down, Dana White.
I don't want to say It's never boring.
If the Chiefs win,
Sorry, Patrick Mahomes here. What do you mean by if the Chiefs win?
Our friendship is real. It's authentic. You can't fake the funk.
we're the type of guys you'd want to hang out with at a sports bar. Best way to pick someone up at a bar?
Yeah.
Go up to a cute girl and say, "Oh, look at that bozo over there," and I like point to you. We could make fun of each other, poke each other a little bit.
I call him Blubber Lips, Rich Davis, because he never stops talking.
He thinks he's the Mexican Fonz.
Yeah.
At any point, he's wearing a chain. You have a chain on?
Always.
Of course he has a chain on.
That's like asking me if I'm wearing cologne right now. Of course I am. We take a lot of pride in being inclusive and interactive on our show. Just the more the merrier.
Josh, Covino thinks that every man should own a leather jacket.
I only wear vegan leather.
Can you believe this guy?
I can't believe this guy. We have a very special connection with our audience, our listeners. People feel that friendship.
And I appreciate y'all's show. I love it.
It's all for you. Thank you.
Mike Tyson, Covino, loves to just challenge us with random Mike Tyson trivia.
Which accomplished celebrity purchased my sprawling Connecticut estate?
I'm going to go 50 Cent.
You are absolutely correct, 50 Cent. I love his song.
You can't schedule a big event during a big sports moment.
My family member scheduled their wedding the same night as a Julio Cesar Chavez fight. Everyone was glued to that fight instead of doing the electric slide.
This is weak.
Unbelievable. You're very tricky.
America, you got sports, you got fun, you got us.
Covino and Rich.
We're crushing it.
It's Covino and Rich on Fox Sports Radio. Are you ready?
Yes! We talk about pop culture, we talk about sports, we talk about life.
It's a friendship on the radio. When you talk about the best athlete in the world, you're probably thinking Jim Thorpe, right?
I'm thinking
joking.
Bo Jackson.
I'd have to throw myself at the age of 12 into the conversation.
You are the home run champion. When you find the commonality between sports and life, those analogies and conversations are the best. You were dating some girl, and you were like, hey, babe,
Welcome back to the Showgram program, the professional gram known throughout the land as the world-famous CNR show. Covino and Rich in for the great Dan Patrick. Always a pleasure. Again, we invite you to a big party we're having. Live broadcasts, giveaways, fun for all.
It's going to be a live pool party Friday the 20th at Circa in Las Vegas, our Covino and Rich convention. And, we're having a lounge fireworks show at night and then a big party on Saturday. So the weekend of June 20th to the 22nd, Iowa Sam.
Splashy.
Break out your Iowa singlet. Cannonball! It's going to be fun. Vegas. All the details at Covino and Rich as we fill in for, again, the great Dan Patrick. Thank you, DP and the crew, Fitzy.
Yeah,
Fritzy
hundreds of people, maybe thousands.
Marvin and all the Danettes for giving us the mic today.
Fitzy's my favorite.
Nice. That's Danny G, by the way.
What's so funny? Covino has this thing where he always wants to call anyone Griffith, and anyone Griffin. I always want to call Fritzy Fitzy, and then Jason Fitz, I call Fritzy. So mess those two up.
Well, that's Rich Davis. I'm Steve Covino. Spots on the videos at Covino and Rich at Fox Sports Radio. Check out Fox Sports Radio's YouTube channel. We're live from the Fox Sports Radio studios. Now, we talked about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. See, now you had me really pausing there for a minute.
Second guess yourself.
Yeah, because I heard Rich say Gilgeous a few times.
No, I said I've heard so many different people, much like how people say Wembanyama and Wenbanyama. Like, people mess that up, and then it gets in your head.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard people put little different pronunciations on SGA, so then you start second-guessing yourself.
You know where that happens a lot, too, and people roll with it? They stop caring. I don't know if it's an old guy thing. Like, something gets in your head and you just roll with it. Like, I don't care. The fight game, especially, with, is it Bivol or Bivel or Bevel? Yeah, you know.
I think UFC.
Biv DeVoe.
You know that guy that fought Canelo? You stop caring because they have these crazy Russian names or whatever.
Bevel.
Yeah, you just roll with whatever. Yeah. But we were talking about SGA and his star power and how it feels like it's come out of nowhere. But we're 7 seasons in now, right?
Yeah.
MVP, playing big. We were talking about the things that matter now on the big stage. So that turns into, well, then what makes you a superstar? Because Stephen A. Smith went on record saying that Halliburton was not a superstar. Just because you come up in a clutch moment doesn't make you a superstar. That's the quote.
And I think
because you come up in clutch moments, that doesn't make you a superstar.
I think that's ridiculous.
Yep.
But that's how you start to become a superstar, right? And we saw a lasting image of the choke sign, the moment, the doink, the most ridiculous doink that ever was.
Doink!
Aside from your favorite wrestler, Rich.
Or the double doink that eliminated the Bears from the playoffs a couple years ago.
Or I have a
Doink,
question. A question off the top of the dome. How many doinks was it that Kawhi had? Was it 3 or 4 before it went in?
It was 3.5.
I think it was a quadruple doink.
Doink.
I think it was.
I mean,
It's like, how many claps are there in that Friends song?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think it's
4.
Yeah, I think it's 4. Yeah, is it 4 or 5? How many doinks? How many? I think Kawhi, because we kept saying yesterday on a regular show, 5 to 7 on East, Covino and Rich, that Kawhi's triple doink. Was it labeled a triple doink? I think he may have hit 4 times.
Yeah,
but
I went back to the archives and looked up an old article about the shot, and it said 4 bounces off the rim.
Yeah,
wow,
that still has to be number 1 then.
No,
But
because it was a buzzer beater in a game 7.
Yeah,
but
Rich. Come on.
it was a shot that had like little doinks, like the doink doink,
but that was like something
that,
you see in Teen Wolf.
That the best doink. You're right, might have been in Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf was a triple doink.
But I really do think the fact that ball hit the back of the rim and bounced up what felt like 10 feet off your TV screen.
I think
like,
it was 8+ feet. Yeah, Dan Byer pointed out. It went out of your TV screen. It felt like forever coming down. And then gently hit the bottom of the net. Like, what was that?
No, Teen Wolf.
So, and then...
Yes!
And then Halliburton there with the premature celebration of choking. Oh, but then they end up winning anyway, which saves the premature celebration, in my opinion. And I think these moments, these clutch moments, begin to build the legend. So we ask you, Fox Sports Radio Nation, Dan Patrick Nation, to chime in at 877-99 on Fox. 877-99 on Fox. If Stephen A. says, because you come up in clutch moments doesn't make you a superstar, then what does? That's part of it. What's the key ingredient? What's the main ingredient?
To me, it's one of the main ingredients. Like I said before, not to sound crass, but if it's like, yeah, dude, she's got a perfect ass, great moves. I'm not sure if she's hot, though. It's like, dude, those are big elements.
Those are part of it.
Those are big part. I mean,
well, I just, you know what the intangible would be there? Like sex appeal. Yeah, man, she's got a sweet Heine, you know, and man, bam, but no sex appeal. There's a few of those around. You know what I'm talking about.
Now, when I think of clutch, who are the most clutch people? Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Derek Jeter,
Big Papi.
The most clutch people are, you guessed it, for the most part, stars. Now, I'll give you 1 or 2 that I think are very clutch people, but you might say, there's Stephen A.'s point. That they're not.
But you don't have to come in clutch to be a superstar. Aaron Judge hasn't really been a clutch guy. He's still a superstar.
But I'm going to give you 2 names.
It's just part of it.
I'm going to give you 2 baseball names, and you tell me if you think these guys are superstars.
Okay.
Because they're clutch. My dude, Francisco Lindor.
Is he a superstar?
He's clutch as could be, but is he a superstar?
Well, that poses another question. See, you don't have to win either to be a superstar.
Like Reggie Miller's clutch.
Yeah.
Okay.
He never won.
What if you won and you were clutch?
I'll give you one, Danny.
Like big shot Rob Ory.
Ooh. You
know what? Yeah,
Danny,
not a superstar.
I had
7
another,
NBA titles.
Just superstar. He had moments.
I had another one, Danny, of a Dodger. You're a big Dodgers guy. Like Kike Hernandez. That guy's clutch as could be, but is he a superstar?
No, he's not. He's just a clutch player. So what exactly makes you a superstar?
He's a superstar in his own city, but you're right.
Yeah.
Outside of that, no.
I thought about it, and that's why the SGA, the previous discussion, sort of ties in, right? It's like, well, why is he not a household name? Well, he's MVP now, and he's dominating in the playoffs, and he might dominate in the finals. I think it's sustainability and consistency. That's a major part of it. It's like, because people could be a flash in the pan and have a Linsanity sort of moment and could be great in clutch moments like Kike Hernandez, but they don't sustain that for a long period of time. When you've been playing big for 7 years and now you're MVP and you're in the playoffs and you're dominating and you're putting up 38 points and you could potentially win it all, SGA superstar, or heading into that superstar world where your Aunt Sharon knows his name. And by the way, shout out to my Aunt Sharon. Right? So I think one of those intangibles that makes you a superstar, or one of those ingredients, is consistency or sustainability. Like, how long have you been doing it? Yeah, you can't just be a guy who had a good year. Like, yeah, he had one good year. That doesn't make you a superstar.
I have a question for you guys. I'm going to give you 2 NBA players. I want you to tell me, are they superstars? Because I think these 2 guys are clutch.
Now, are you saying super or super? Because I believe there's a difference.
Superstar. 2 guys that you could argue superstar or not.
Okay.
And they have the same initials. I'll give you the initials, see if you can think of the 2 guys I'm thinking of. JB, NBA players.
I thought you were talking about Jack Black.
Lava chicken.
Yeah,
Steve's
Jack Black.
Lava chicken.
Jack Black, superstar.
Superstar.
So, JB.
Jimmy
Jonely Bonely.
Jonely Bonely.
Jonely Boneless Stewart. J only, B only.
JB.
Jimmy Butler is not a superstar. Here's why.
Is he clutch?
Very clutch. He's playoff Jimmy. I love Jimmy Butler. He's on like the precipice of superstardom. I'll give you an example. Want to hear my analogy?
Yes, sir.
I just thought of this. When you think of 90s rock, right? Like, think of the core 4 or 5. You got bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, STP.
Yeah.
But then you got bands like Live, right?
Smashing Pumpkins.
Who are they're great. It's perfect. Smashing Pumpkins. Great band. But are they top 4 or 5 of that era? No. Maybe, arguably, but they're right there. Jimmy Butler's right there. He's the Smashing Pumpkins
of the NBA?
Of the NBA. Like, he's
Okay,
great,
yeah.
but he's right there. Or as Dan Patrick would say, he's in the Hall of Very Good. Right?
Let me give you another one that I think he's a great player, but his reputation to me has been built on the last 2 seasons of, wow, playoffs. This guy comes out, and that's another JB, Jalen Brunson.
Ooh, hold on. I wasn't done with Butler. I think Butler has superstar qualities, though. Superstar personality. I think his personality is that, and the way he carries himself, he's that of a superstar. But what makes a superstar is the question. If coming in clutch doesn't make you a superstar, and you know what? The more and more I think about it, it doesn't. It's just a part of what makes you a superstar. It doesn't make you a superstar. Think of all the random players that came in clutch. It's usually like an ancillary part of the team, like a utility guy.
A David Freeze,
right? Yeah, someone like that.
There'll be a guy that steps up,
some sort of utility dude who came in big with a big hit, and you're like, man, that was insane. Can't believe that dude came through with that shot.
I'll give you a guy.
So again, it's a bunch of things that make you the superstar. But what's the key ingredient? Is what we're asking.
I'll give you a guy that we interviewed at the Super Bowl, a guy that I respect. He's very polarizing, like Kurt Schilling. That guy came up big when it mattered.
Okay, now he's the opposite of Jimmy Butler. He has the credentials, but he didn't have like a superstar sort of personality.
I thought he was great, but some don't like him.
But his numbers say it all, so nanny, nanny, poof, poof. He's a superstar whether you want it to be or not. But back to Brunson, I think what makes Brunson superstar, what really solidifies the deal, is him continuing to win. But, playing for the Knicks and continuing to be consistent, and even in a loss, putting up 40-something points. And the bounce back tonight really, again, proves where he's at.
Let's go to you guys. In for the great Dan Patrick, COVINO Rich. Let's say what's up to Kenny in L.A. What's up, Kenny?
Hey, fellas.
What's up, man?
So growing up, and for many, many years, I thought that superstar is based solely what you did on the court or on the field. I think Stephen A's point was really based upon charisma or personality. And I'm going to ask you, if you know off the top of your head, who led the NBA in scoring in the 1980s? Because his game played a little different position. He played forward. Reminds me of SGA's.
Ooh, leading scorer of the decade known as the 80s. See, you would think Jordan, because he put up a bunch of 30 years. Who's the answer? Who's your answer? Go ahead.
Alex English, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think Jordan, though.
Yeah, former Denver Nugget.
Yeah.
I think of Jordan dominating the 90s.
Yeah, that's
80s,
true.
that was a good one.
85.
But again,
only half the decade.
Quote is, just because you show up in clutch moments doesn't make you a superstar. That's Stephen A. Smith on Tyrese Halliburton on whether or not he's a superstar because he had a huge moment. But also that lasting moment is going to live on for years to come. We're going to look back and remember like, oh, yeah, that 8-foot doink that went in that won that game. Yeah, that was a superstar memorable moment that helps with the legacy, with the legend. So we'll get to the rest of your phone calls. Please hang tight at 877-99 on Fox. What's the main ingredient? What does make you a superstar then? What's the most important thing to you? And let's solve this little riddle. Plus, we got giveaways and games to play. Lots to get to here on the CNR show.